Hey, Miles. How are you, buddy?
Great, Dave. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great today. Great to have you on. This is a good episode for us, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I got can't see it in frame here. I've got a whole table of stuff to talk about.
Right. I love it. I love it. So the cool part about this was the introduction, I think. That was an awesome introduction. You were with Vaughn Buckley. I believe that was at the International Builders Show, was it not?
That is correct. Yep.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So today's going to be a fun day because anybody that's going to tune in out there, we are going to be talking about podcasting and how we podcast and basically the equipment that you use to podcast. So if people don't catch it now, they're going to catch it on the rerun, right?
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
So, all right. So let's kind of let me clear my screen here. I have this video thing set up, and let's get into. Oh, we're back to it. Hold on. So let's hop into what we have going on, and I think it's a good time to start. And let's see if we get some people jumping in here.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit about how you got started in podcasting and why it's so important.
Yeah, so I got started in podcasting at the end of 2017. At that time, I was just listening to a lot of podcasts myself. And after listening to so many, you start to realize there's almost a recipe for the way folks organize their shows and conduct interviews. And I just got more and more curious about what it would take to actually do it myself. So I just got on the internet, started doing some research, and found a starter kit that had enough to just get me launched. Got the kit and then just started interviewing family and friends. And that's how I started my show, Relish the Journey, which has been going now for over 120 episodes. Been doing at least one episode a week. This year I've gone to 2 episodes a week of that show. And really just started by failing, doing it scared, like you always say, right? Not having no idea what I've been doing, but then launching from that little starter kit once I understood how the equipment worked and how to get the show out there.
Right.
Slowly changing my equipment and growing to the point where I have a little home studio that sounds very professional.
Yeah, it does sound professional. I love it. I think this is going to be a great episode. There are so many people that tuned in when you gave your keynote out in Las Vegas on why podcasting, how to podcast. And I think it's a growing thing. Even today at 2:00, we have I'm on another podcast guy, Todd DeWalt for FailCon. Yeah. And we're going to be talking all about our failures. Isn't that wonderful? And before, I bet you have some stories there you could just share with us, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, let's jump into it, Miles. So if I want to be a podcaster, how do I get started?
So really, you get started by just recording something. I think too often people get tied up. And I just had a phone call with a guy in college, actually, a Penn State student, just yesterday, where he has an idea for a podcast and he hasn't started yet. And really the only reason why he hasn't started yet is because he doesn't have the equipment. He doesn't have a name for the show. He's waiting for that finished package. And my words to him will be the words I say here is just forget about the package and just start talking about something. You can record it and not release it, but you'll at least go through the motions. You'll get to learn how to interview someone, who you are as an interviewer, and then start to see if certain topics resonate with different people, and you can pull on a thread until you find your aha moment and you have your show. Then you can build that out and publish it. But really the best way to get started is simply to start. And you can do that with some very simple equipment that we're going to cover here today and the seed of an idea that you can grow over time.
Sure. All right, well, let's jump into it then. So I want to get started with podcasting. What do I do? What do I need?
Yeah, so the very basic needs are really some way to record, which now with phones, it's easier than ever. And so a microphone, right? So that could be as simple as the earbud microphone that you have that comes with your phone and the voice recorder app on your phone, the very, very bare bones.
Right.
Now, I started with more than that, right? But I've seen people do an okay job at that. What I'll say to people is what you don't spend in equipment, you will spend in post-production and editing. So if you have less than desirable audio source with your microphone, or you're trying to stitch files together from multiple phones that you're recording on, you're just going to spend more time editing. And if you're like me and you love talking to people but not editing, that's going to drive you crazy. So by making a small investment in some nice equipment, you can expedite the process. So what I did, I started with a little kit that is called Podcast Studio. It's put out by Behringer, which is a pretty big name in
See if I can show that.
music instruments and things like that. So what you're going to pull up here, this is their 2.0 version as seen on sale at Amazon. When I got it, it was just the 1.0 version, but this is what it looks like in real life. This is a one mic input soundboard. You can see it's right here. This is what they call an XLR input, and that's the type of cable that plugs in your microphone. So you get the basic soundboard, and this will plug directly into your computer, your USB channel. And then you get a very simple microphone setup with a tabletop mic stand. It looks like this. And so that cord would plug from the mic into the soundboard. And this is enough to get started with a solo show, just you talking to the world. And actually, the first 20 episodes of Relish the Journey, I recorded with this setup. And when I was interviewing somebody on the phone, I would talk. And then when I needed to record that person, I had my cell phone on speaker and I put it up to the phone, to the microphone, and backed away. And that's how I captured the audio. And it worked pretty well until I found a better way to do it. So there's some sort of hacks that you can get into the more you practice.
Sure. So all of these things, so people that are out there watching or watch this later, there's a link that will be in this episode that you can click through to get to where all this gear is and where you can find it. And Miles made it very, very easy to do that. So thanks, Miles.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Great. So, all right. So now we ordered this gear. What do we do with it? I mean, to me, it always looks complicated. There's all these buttons. There's little dials you got to push up and down. Talk us through a little bit about the why that is and what it does.
Sure. So, if we learn to get the soundboard back out, right? It looks complicated. It looks like there's a lot going on. It's because this small device can do some cool stuff. You can plug in the microphone, and then this controls your audio levels. There's the treble, the medium, the bass that you can turn up, just like if you're thinking about your car stereo, right? And then there's balance, so you can, and fades, so you can have it go to the left or right. Overall levels, you can plug in sound effects and headphones, and that's what all these different line in and lines out are up top. But you don't need to get that complicated for the podcast. Really, if you were to cover this, you really need that one channel to get it done. And so that's what I did, is I focused on one element of it at a time. And then as you get comfortable with one element, you can build from there. And the best way to learn, again, is just to try. So plug it in, get started, record yourself talking about how your day was. And while you're talking, start manipulating levels and settings, and then listen to it back and see what happened so that you know when you did X change, you heard Y in the audio. And that's just a good way to feel it out and get comfortable.
For sure. No, I agree with that. I agree. Just do it, right? That's the Nike term, and the, do it scared is something we like to always say.
Right. Yeah.
For sure. All right. Well, let's keep going through. So, I mean, that's a basic setup. That is something, a starter kit that somebody can pick up on Amazon for $100, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's like $115, but yeah, right around $100. It's really not a huge investment. So good. Well,
let me ask you this. Let's just, and maybe I'm getting off track, but do I really need that to get started?
No, you don't need that to get started. Like I said, you can. Yeah. Every phone nowadays has a voice recorder, right? And you can just record into that. And then you're going to need to pull that audio, recording off your phone, put it on your computer into an editing software to add your music, maybe reduce some background noise, make sure that it sounds professional, even though it was recorded on a phone, and then share it with the world. So you can do it that way. But like I said, that's just, you're adding one more step in post-production. Now you've got to pull it from your phone, re-upload it someplace instead of just recording it directly into your computer, and doing some of that level manipulation right from the beginning instead of having to do it after you've recorded.
Great. So just want to make a shout out here. Greg Ugaldi, the immediate past chairman of the National Association of Home Builders, he just said hi, but he's on with the governor, so he'll have to jump in again another time. So thanks a lot, Greg. Always good seeing you. Monday, if you're still out there watching, we have Vaughn Buckley and Colby on, and we're going to be talking about the Modular Coalition. So figure I'd give you a quick shout out on that. Have a great day. All right, Miles, and anybody else that's out there, if you have questions or comments and you want to learn more about this and personal branding, today is all about podcasting. Please ask questions, jump on, and we'd love to hear from you. Definitely would love to hear from you. All right, Miles, let's move on to the next thing here. What's our next step?
So the next step, if you're ready to upgrade equipment, right, I can talk to what I did. So I decided to stay in the Behringer family because I got used to this one input soundboard and how it functioned. I started to look for larger versions of it and how it would work. And so I upgraded to this guy, which is very a little bit more imposing, right? It's much bigger, might be scarier, right, Dave? Like you were saying.
Right.
All it really is this one input times 4. I can plug 4 microphones in. I can plug sound effects in. There's some more options for really running an entire studio, not just the podcast setup off this. But again, it plugs into your computer just like the other one does, and it allows you to interview more guests and just expand your capabilities from just you talking in a microphone to talking to a group of people and doing more interviews.
Right. For sure. And I'm going to put
a bit more expensive, but it was interesting. Even the guts of this, it's a higher quality. Just going from myself talking with that other soundboard to talking with this, changing nothing else, same microphone, the sound was so much clearer just based on the preamps and the way that they built this product. So you get what you pay for when it comes to audio equipment, and it was well worth the added dollars.
Right. And something like this, again, on Amazon, we talking $200? What are we talking?
You have to tell me. You have Amazon up. The price changes quite a bit.
You make me 148. 148. I can see it over there in the corner. Yeah. Perfect. Well, that's not a huge investment for some good quality sound, I would say.
Right. And so if you remember our little microphone, right? This isn't that great of a microphone. You probably spend $10 just on this mic, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to hear that sound. What I tell people is there's a difference between a $10 mic and a $60, $70 mic. There's not a huge difference between a $70 mic and a $2,000 mic, right? You're not, unless you're, recording a music album for distribution on the radio, you don't need to go buy recording studio quality stuff. There's things out there that can get the job done, and you can spend your money on marketing your show and things like that. So what I found, again, doing some research, was a kit that came with a nice condenser microphone from Audio-Technica, which is a well-respected brand, a pop filter to cut out the P's and some irregular audio sounds, the XLR cable to plug it into the soundboard, and then the boom arm to attach it to a table. And so I've got all those elements individually. You can also see over the shoulder, right, one setup behind me, but this is what the microphone looks like.
Right.
A little bit hard to tell to be in black. You've got the pop filter that'll rest in front of the microphone. There you see it right there. The boom arm. It's nice because you see it expanded. It folds up to be this small.
Right.
So you saw that when I was in Vegas interviewing Vaughn, I had a bunch of these, and it looks big, extended, but it folds up nice. And so I was able to fit this into a backpack, which will show people later, take it on an airplane and travel across the country, and then reset up the studio pretty easily. So again, getting started, I bought that 2 years ago when we started a podcast for Mojo Active, the marketing agency I work for. All I did was duplicate my home studio because it worked so well, and we purchased 3 more of those. And it's just nice because you don't have to piecemeal things together. It's all in one. And then if you want to upgrade certain parts, you want to fancy your stand, you want to fancy your pop filter, whatever you're into, you can go get those things one-on-one, but you at least have what you need to get started with more of a studio sound.
Sure. No, I love it. I mean, you can start off with the first kit and be all included roughly at $100 or what have you. But if you upgrade to what you just showed, and then with this kit, you're taking it up $300 maybe for the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, I think the mic and stand kit was another $120.
That's $164.
So you're right, $300 for the soundboard in one of those, and then now if you want to interview 2 people, you need to buy this kit times 2.
Right.
I've got this kit times 3 because I can have up to 3 people live, and I have a cord that I'll show that I can plug into my cell phone and record someone remotely, and that's the 4th input on my mixer.
Right. Love it. So I don't know if anybody can hear. We were talking earlier. Did you hear the thunder going on out there yet?
I haven't heard it for you. I'm listening to what happened right now with me.
Yeah. So with the wind and the thunder and all that, hopefully we stay connected today. So I love it. All right, Miles. Let's move on. And what's the next level we have here?
We'll put up what slide do you have next?
The rolls accordion.
Okay, sure. So this is Roll's headphone amplifier. And what this little guy does is it plugs into the soundboard because there's one headphone in jack on that soundboard. But if you have 4 people and everyone wants to hear themselves, right, you need one of these, which has 4 inputs, and you can plug in the headphone jacks. And there's also the smaller headphone jack that you might see on your phone, where you can plug in your earbuds. So I like this because it allows you to travel and to, bring this piece so you can hook up microphones, but you don't necessarily have to bring the clunky studio headphones if you don't want to. You can just roll with the earbuds that most people have in their pockets anyway and still be able to hear what's going on through the microphone. So that's a nice little add-on just to expand the ability for guests to hear themselves nicely when they're talking into the microphone. Again, this is more of a want than a need. You certainly don't need to hear everything, but it's nice for the host because you will hear what the microphone's picking up, and again, reduce or enhance your levels so that you can fix things as it's happening instead of having to spend more time in editing.
Right. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. All right. I love it. There's that thunder again. Cord. Yeah. So let's talk about the cords, right? Because you showed us a bunch of stuff, but you still got to plug into it.
Yeah.
The Elite Audio.
So there's cords, that they're nothing sexy, right? It's that the red and white audio cords that you might still remember from the DVD player before we had HDMI cables, right? It's a cord like that will plug into the soundboard and then into that headphone amplifier so it connects everything. That's what that cord is. And then the soundboards and the headphone amp come with a power source cord, and then a cord from the soundboard that plugs into USB. So very, very typical looking cords that people are familiar with.
Yeah, for sure. Great. Love it. All right.
I think next is the cord I have just to show people how it plugs into your phone. Is that what you have next up there? I
believe it is.
So this was cool. I was really happy when I found this because I was not joking when I say I used to hold my cell phone up to a microphone to capture remote phone calls. Now I live in central Pennsylvania. I've had the opportunity to interview people that are in Australia, in England, or in California, right? All over the country, all over the world. I can't be in the room with them. But what's cool about this is an XLR cable that will plug into that mic input. And on the other end, this is a headphone jack. So this will plug into your phone directly. Or if you're like me and you've got an iPhone, you need that lightning connector. You attach that bad boy that came with the phone. Now it plugs into your iPhone. And now all the sound from your iPhone or your cell phone is being routed through the mixer that I showed you. So you can adjust the bass, the mids, the treble, the gain. You can manipulate it so that it'll still sound like you're on a phone call, but it's not that garbled, muffly, terrible sounding phone call. It's as good to having them in the same room with you as you can get while doing it remotely. And it's a stable connection. Some people will record a Zoom call and then rip the audio out. But like you mentioned, you joked about the thunder, right? If it's a not stable Wi-Fi connection, your audio is going to cut out. And now you've got to edit around this by having that secure one-on-one line through a phone call or maybe through a Skype call, something where you're dedicated. This is a great tool to help bring that into the audio file. And it's like $9. It's well worth the investment to increase your audio quality.
Yeah. Perfect. So let's talk about sound and hearing the sound. That's a big deal. Every time I see a podcaster, they seem to have the headphones on, right? What's the purpose of that? Hear yourself talk?
Oh, yeah, of course. Podcasters love hearing themselves talk, right? You can hear yourselves in all your glory. But no, headphones. So you want to hear what's going on because like I mentioned, a microphone is going to pick up things that the naked ear doesn't. It'll pick up a lot of white noise. It'll pick up noises in the other room, things like that. And you'll be able to hear that by putting on these, noise canceling type headphones so that you're not getting distracted. You can focus on the audio and hear how you need to adjust your levels so that you do it before you hit record and you don't have to spend time manipulating the audio after the fact, because that can get messy and you can end up really hurting the sound of your audio because every time you manipulate it, you are changing the integrity of that audio file. Right. So it's to get it as close to perfect from the beginning. And the headphones just let you tune into that better.
Right. And you say these are the ones that you actually use, the Audio Technica?
Yeah, the Audio Technica. I just when I find a brand I like, I stick with it, right? The Behringer board and the Audio Technica for the mic. So I went with the headphones as well. And it's just a trusted brand. They've held up very well. You can throw them around the room. My son's chucked them, right? They don't break.
Right.
And they're made for this. And they're comfortable. That's the one thing I say. You can use earbuds. You can use crappy headphones. But if you end up doing a long show and you're wearing those headphones for an hour, the last thing you want to do is be itching, being distracted, touching your ears, adjusting your headphones. It's going to distract your guest. You're going to end up creating noise that your mic's going to pick up that you have to edit out later. and you're going to be off your interview game because you're not focused. So it's
Good point.
some added comfort that can keep you focused.
Right. Very good point. All right, so let's talk about some stands, right? I think we have we have a tabletop stand in case I think the boom mic doesn't work.
Yeah, so the boom mic that I have comes with this little clamp. And so you can see I have a desk behind me. It attaches to that clamp. It gets pretty wide. I'd say about 3 inches or so. But if you go to a conference room table, or nobody has a side table, right? Or they don't want you to affix something to their table if you're going mobile, and this doesn't work, you're kind of SOL. You can't use that stand. So there's tabletop mic stands like you're going to show on Amazon there that will rest on the table, and then you affix your microphone to that. So you don't have to be worrying about the boom arm. It sits in front of the person. Right. You put the microphone on, and you keep talking. Now, depending on the microphone you get, these you can sort of hold like I'm doing right now and talk, but you don't have the added benefit of having that pop filter then. You can buy microphones that are styled like this, that are better quality, that you can hold as well and not need any stands. I've seen some people do that. I like having my hands free. I talk with my hands, and I want to be able to do that and not worry about where I'm holding the mic. So again, that's some preference, but the tabletop stand is nice. That way your hands can be free to look up something on the computer, take notes, write notes, or just be free to speak with your hands if you need to. Sure.
So let's talk about, it looks like we're working our way down, right? We're getting into lav mics now.
Yeah. So this was something.
Let's see.
So I packed up my home studio and brought it to Vegas for the National Builder Show because I was giving that keynote like you talked about, and I wanted to be able to show people and not just talk about it. You talk about the idea of podcasting. Some people think it's unobtainable. I wanted to be able to have them see, touch, and feel the equipment and see that they can do it too. So I brought everything, but I also purchased lav mics and a really cool adapter that plugs in my iPhone so I could go on the trade show floor and very nimbly approach people and ask if I can interview them for the podcast, affix a lav mic, take out my phone, and record audio without having to break down and set up an entire studio and need all these outlets to plug things in.
Right.
So this lav mic from Rode is from Rode. Rode's a great audio brand. I know you like Rode for some of your camera.
I do.
Very trusted, well-engineered product. This specific lovely mic will plug right into your iPhone, and then it just clips onto your shirt. So I've got one here. And so you see it's got a little pop filter, this little fuzzy part that helps weed out any unwanted noise. And you just affix it to your shirt like that. And now you can adjust the distance from your mouth if you're too loud or too soft. Also, it comes, we're jumping now, but this little adapter that I purchased, also from Rode, plugs into my iPhone and allows me to use 2 live mics because we only have one headphone jack on our phones, right? So now I can be mic'd and my guest can be mic'd, and there's even a spot for me to wear headphones, again, to hear audio, all from this little piece that I think was about $60-$70.
Yeah, I have that up here. Let me pull that in so we can show everybody what that looks like up close.
But that was well worth it. And the article that you mentioned earlier where I'm going to have all these links, I actually linked to a podcast episode I did with Audrey Gravesic from Modular SureSight, who I know you've worked with as well.
Yeah.
We did it in the Las Vegas monorail waiting line. I was able to throw the mics on, plug it on my phone, and interview her while people are walking past and all that stuff. It went to my phone. This little doohickey comes with an app. They call it the Rode Reporter app.
Right.
You can adjust the levels in there, and they give you some more control. And then it exports into an MP3 that I could send to my computer and edit. But it was very easy and very lightweight and easy. I mean, you could fit all this in your pocket and have a podcast studio in your pocket with your phone.
Right.
For anybody that, again, like you asked, you have to start with a soundboard. No, you could buy this. You could buy this for your phone and a couple of lav mics and do this, and very affordably get used to the idea and take it on the road with you.
Right. Well, I agree. I mean, that was even something that you used when we were in Vegas. We did a small interview on that in the corner somewhere, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was grabbing a soundbite for you for our marketing podcast.
Yeah.
And I said, Dave, can I grab it for 3 minutes? I wanted a snippet that I weaved in to a broader episode, and you get it done. And we didn't have to spend half an hour setting up gear. It was just real quick.
It really was. Awesome. So, I mean, the bottom line with all of this so far is we talked about the expensive gear. We talked about the other things that we could use, but you don't really need those things. You can use your phone, a couple of adapters, 2 lav mics, and you have an instant podcast.
Right. And podcast equals personal brand, which is what we're talking about every week. It's a podcast, but it's a platform for you to spread your message, for you to share your personality, share your expertise, to show your circle of influence and the experts that you know that you can interview, that you can add to existing conversations for topics that are happening in your industry, in your field, and then share that with the world. And that helps create your personal brand.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. No, I think it's great. I think, and it's such an easy thing to do. Just put it in your pocket. I mean, you could be sitting at a restaurant, a bar, doesn't matter. You can do a podcast just about anywhere. It just matters the level of quality you want to go for, right?
I will say, I recommend approaching people not cold, right?
Yep.
You're not live unless you're recording right away like you are with your live video, right? Where you just stick the camera in their face. Hey, you're live. Hey, talk to me.
Right.
You approach someone who doesn't know what you are and you're like, hey, I have a podcast. Can I talk to you? And you put a mic out. They look at you like you're insane. And I know this because I've done it. And so try to line it up. It was a lesson I learned, right? Even if you're mobile and you're nimble, not everybody's comfortable speaking. You're going to want to set these interviews up in advance whenever possible and make sure the guest is comfortable so that they're actually engaged and don't sound scared while they're giving you a piece of audio.
For sure. For sure. No, I mean, I think it's great. There's so many people out there that want to learn how to do this. And this is a really great overview. And I'm sure if anybody wanted to reach out to you, they could just follow the links and you'd be more than happy to walk them through the process.
Yeah, absolutely. I know everybody's questions are going to be unique to the type of show they want to start, who their audience is going to be. And that gets into strategy, which is beyond equipment, right? You're going to want to figure out what's your message, what's your length, how often are you putting out a podcast? You know, how are you promoting it on your existing website or social platforms? There's a lot of thought that goes into it once you get comfortable and you really want to expand it and make it something big. You get started by doing it scared, but you grow it by doing it confidently, and confidence comes from having a sound strategy.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. All right, let's jump. So your travel gear that you showed us would coincide with this bag, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so this bag is big enough for more than just that travel gear, right? I think I even sent you a photo of all the stuff I fit in this bag when I was going to Las Vegas. But here's the bag, right? It's large. This is a 40-meter bag. It's just small enough to be considered a carry-on item for planes.
Yep.
Because it's not a hard shell, it's a soft shell. So you're not going to want to fill this up with expensive audio equipment and then check that bag.
Right.
But it's nice and padded on the back and the straps. There's a strap to go over your chest. And then there's all sorts of compartments everywhere for your cords, for your keys. It's actually advertised as a security travel laptop bag. So, which works out because there's lots of components. I was able to fit, if you see how expanded, I fit in this big center section, all the boom mics, all the cords, a surge strip, the microphones, stands, all of that stuff. And then the second pouch has two different laptop sections.
Yeah.
Which is nice. One for your soundboard, one for your laptop, and then you can fit more stuff in here. And so when it was all said and done, I packed up my entire at-home studio in this thing. It probably weighed about 40 pounds. So you don't want to, go on a hike with it, but it does allow you to travel and bring your professional setup on the road, in addition to those lightweight things you can put in your pocket and keep it safe. I brought everything to and from Las Vegas on an airplane, multiple airplanes, and nothing got damaged or broken, and it worked out just.
Yeah, you were like me. I always have a big backpack or a wheelie behind me going around to the trade shows and lugging everything. Your shoulders sometimes hurt at the end of the day, but they really, really do make a huge difference on what it is. So I love it. All right, so we have a couple more slides, and then I think we can show some of those photos.
Yeah, let's do it.
We have next up. This is my favorite. I use this mic.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's right. I'm recording on it now. Hopefully, let's see if I can show everybody. This is the mic right there that we're showing you. If you like the way I sound, this is the mic that I use. And I have to tell you, it's been a great microphone for doing this, as well as just doing other recordings here with the camera and things that I'm doing.
Yeah, that's really nice, especially for what you're doing, because when you get into the boom arms, you don't want to necessarily have a mic right in your face while you're trying to be on video. That's nice because it's omnidirectional.
Right.
It's going to pick up multiple guests at the same time without needing multiple microphones. And that plugs directly into your USB instead of needing a soundboard. So
Sure.
again, it's all about personal preference, what your end goal is, how many uses you want for this microphone. But that, I think, microphone is a little over $100 as well, and that's an option. When you start getting over 2 people, it's hard then if you want to have isolated audio channels, because that microphone picks up everything.
Right.
You're not going to be able to split out person 1 on mic 1, person 2 on mic 2. Everybody's going to be in one audio file, which can work for you. And then if it doesn't, you might need to look at some of the other equipment that we talked about.
Yeah, for sure. I know there might be some people out there watching thinking I'm not paying attention, but I got a lot of moving parts here. I'm trying to pull them up on the screen, and they're like, "Well, he's really rude. He's not really listening to Miles." But that's not the case at all. So, one of the more important things that goes with podcasting that a lot of people probably do not understand is how to distribute.
Right.
How do you distribute your podcast? And I'm going to pull up something that you had listed here.
Yeah, so this is Libsyn, stands for Liberated Syndication, and it's one of many podcast hosting platforms you can choose from. I'm talking about Libsyn because I've used Libsyn. It's the only one I've used, but there's other ones out there like Anchor.fm is one, Blurberry, Cast is one. There's so many, right? They're more popping up all the time as podcasts.
Yeah.
Popularity. Libsyn and all these platforms, what they do is you upload your MP3. You type out your show notes, you put any appropriate backlinks you want, any tags or metadata, and then you upload your artwork and you schedule out when you want it to post to your RSS feed. They'll even sync up with LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, so that when you hit publish on Libsyn, it'll post to all those platforms for you, and you don't need to do everything manually. So it's a nice content management tool as well. It's creating an RSS feed, and then that RSS feed is what you submit to all of the listening apps. So Apple, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, the list goes on and on, right? There's all these ways to listen to podcasts. These hosting platforms become the source of truth for your main audio file. They post it to this RSS feed. The RSS feed is shared with those listening apps. And when you hit publish, it posts to all of those as well. So that becomes a hub for how you distribute your podcast to all of your listeners.
Very cool. All right. Let me, you sent me some photos. Let me pull those up real quick so we can share those with the audience.
All right.
And you can walk us through. Why don't we start off with your studio setup? Let me see here. At the Aria in Las Vegas.
Yeah. So I packed everything up in my backpack, like we said. And I was able to secure Vaughn Buckley for an hour interview where we talked about who he is and how he got started in business and in housing. And here's what it looked like. I unpacked my backpack, put it up on this conference table, and set us each up with a microphone. And there you can see the soundboard, all the cords draped everywhere. Again, looks more complicated than it is. It's just one thing multiplied out. But that is one look at how it looks when it's set up. And you can see we had some cameras filming us as well to record it. And then here is Vaughn and I actually engaging in a conversation, so you can put some people in front of microphones for a better visual.
Yeah, for sure. And again, Vaughn will be on our show Monday, so I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be very big. It's very important for people to tune in. Is that Vaughn on the TV behind as well?
Yeah.
Was that planned, or was that just playing a video?
I think that wasn't planned for that camera. It was playing a video. We had a stream in the background going through stuff about his company, since we were talking about his company.
Right. I love it. That's cool. All right. So what do we got here?
Yeah. So this is at Mojo Active. That's my day job, where I'm the director of digital marketing there. And we have a podcast for that agency called Integrate and Conquer. And that is our studio there. So a nice round table setup where everyone can look at each other. And you can see my laptop plugged into the soundboard and multiple microphones set up. There's 4 here using all the different inputs of that soundboard. So you can interview a group about a marketing topic. And so that's just a way where you can see all the cords grouped in the middle to keep everything condensed and organized. But that's how multiple mics look when they're set up and everything's plugged in and working.
Right. And you have the long cords just because you never know where you're going to be set up is what I'm assuming, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You don't know, what it's going to be like. Can you run the cords on the table? Will the soundboard have to be far away? Where's the outlet? Right. You want to give yourself some flexibility so you're not SOL when you get there.
What's that stand for? Nope, just kidding.
I was going to say, this is a family-friendly show, Dave.
It is. It is. So we'll end it with your partner there in a second. But this is kind of the layout that you have when you're traveling.
Yeah, so this was everything that I was able to fit into that bag. I just thought that was a cool photo. I was actually surprised because I bought the bag just for this trip for Las Vegas. I wasn't quite sure how it was going to work. And so I was laying everything out that I was going to need to put in the bag and took a photo of it. And it all fit. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So I was pretty much armed for any type of scenario possible on interviews I'd be doing.
Right.
It all fit in the bag, which was great.
Love it. All right. So my favorite one is this. I mean, if your son can do it, and anybody can do it, right?
That's right. We say it looks too hard, but there it is. The future host of Relish the Journey, my son Mason. He loves to get in and help me, as he says.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I'm looking at him here, but I got him up here too. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. So if a 2-year-old can figure it out, guys, it's okay. You can do it too. That's
right. That's right. So you have to show Mason. He was on live video today. He'll love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, Miles, this was awesome, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to walk us through everything. I think that this is the type of video that's going to gain a lot of traction and hopefully get shared because everybody struggles with how to get started.
Yeah. And so with that, I'll just bring it back down to the basics, right? How you get started is you just start. Please don't make this harder than it needs to. There's a link to a LinkedIn article I wrote here that lists everything we talked about. And yeah, it's long. There's a lot of information, but I compiled that information after 3 years of podcasting, not 3 days, right? So if you're just getting started, take a deep breath.
That's right.
Start small. Start with what you can do on a consistent basis. So you get comfortable and you grow. And over time, it's less intimidating. And you add to your arsenal of equipment and skills, and you grow your personal brand through podcasting, just like I did.
Yeah, let's end it with the least amount of things that you need. You need your phone, you need that adapter, and you need a lav mic. Can you show us that real quick?
Yeah, so here's this.
Show everybody. This is all you need.
Here's an adapter. Here's a lav mic. I'm talking to you on my phone right now. This plugs into the lightning port, or this could plug in right to your headphone jack. And there's plenty of audio recording apps out there. There's actually apps that allow you to record phone calls as well, so that you can record a remote interview by recording a phone call into an app. You record the stuff in your phone, you export it to your laptop, you use an editing software. I always recommend to people to use Audacity, which that is linked up in the article. It's free. You can learn how to use it by trial and error, jumping on YouTube and finding videos. You import your audio files, you mix it together, and you export your final MP3.
I love it, man.
Yep.
I love it. Thank you so much, Miles. This was great. It was all about Miles Biggs and Biggs Ideas today with his podcast. I love it. Biggs Ideas. I got to change my last name. I don't think I have anything as cool as that. Cooper, I'm sure you can think of alternate names, when you were children getting picked on, but I think I love it. Biggs Ideas. Miles, thanks so much. Miles Biggs. Building your brand is such an important thing for your personal, for your business. This whole show is all about working together to help everybody that we know out there build their personal brand. We've been fortunate enough to start early on this and start building ours. And now we're here to share the wealth of knowledge and the ideas and go from there. I have Jennifer wrote, Gary Vee says we need to produce 64 pieces of content daily. This is how you do it. Great info, Miles.
Well, thank you, Jen.
That's
I'm not
right.
up to 64 yet, but we'll get there one day.
It's funny, right? It's so easy to say that. And, Gary Vee has this whole thing out there on how you do, this 100 pieces or 64 pieces of content, but it takes intention, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's easy.
I mean, it takes intention. And you got to be quick with it. Yeah. So, Jennifer, she wrote another thing. An easy topic to get started is say thank you to your team, your mentors, show gratitude. And that's something that I always say in my keynotes as well. How do you get started? And she's right. Say thank you.
Yeah. And people are always flattered to be asked to be a guest.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the way we're taking it with the agency podcast with Mojo Active is we'll bring a client on and just highlight great things that they're doing and commend them for their marketing efforts and share some stories. And we always walk away smiling like I was on a podcast. I did something that's broadcast worthy. And so that's a great way. We didn't touch on this, but too, just quickly, it's a great business development tool. When you pick up the phone and make a sales call and you're trying to sell something, you get one reaction. When you pick up the phone, you're complimentary and you identify somebody as a leader in the industry and you love to meet and pick their brain for your show.
Sure.
Who's going to say no to that? You get in with the room with them, you build the relationship, you have that piece of content that you create value for them. Then after it's live, you can circle back around and start to initiate a sales conversation once you've gotten your foot in the door. So there's so many possibilities and ways to look at podcasting beyond just building your personal brand. You can build your sales pipeline, build your corporate brand, and just do it for fun if you want to.
Yeah.
A good creative outlet.
It really is. And I always said you could either do it this way or you could write a resume. But when you have everything out there like we do, you never have to write a resume again, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You just put it out there and, this is who we are and you want to hire us or not, right? That's what happens.
That's how it goes. So Miles, man, really appreciate it. Thank you very much for putting in all the effort for today and going over this stuff. We're going to repost everything. We're going to put links to where you can find all of this equipment so you can figure it out quickly. We'll put links that they can get a hold of Miles as well. So Miles, you can answer their questions because I wouldn't know how.
Yep. Happy to help anybody. Happy to help anyone that has a question. Feel free to reach out.
Awesome. So hey everybody, this is Dave Cooper, DaveCooper.live, and Miles Biggs from Biggs Ideas. Every Thursday, 1 o'clock, we're going to be talking about branding and marketing in general, but it's all about personal branding. It's all about how to build your brand for yourself and your business. Definitely tune in. Our next show is Monday at 11 a.m. We're going to be talking about the Modular Manufacturers Coalition. And we're going to have the leads on that, Colby Swanson and Vaughn Buckley. So tune in for that because that's a big idea. And those are two guys that know how to personal brand. So
I'm excited for that one. That'll be good.
May have to hit them up on that one. Change the tide on them. They think they're coming from one thing. We'll backdoor it another way.
There you go.
We'll get them. So there you have it, everybody. Tune in every Thursday, Building Your Brand with Dave Cooper and Miles Biggs, Biggs Idea. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
We got to give them the point. We'll see ya.
See ya.